Hi, you guys. Well, sorry for the long overdue update, but I thought today's a good day. I'm actually feeling good, so I'm gonna make a couple of videos. So I'm gonna be looking like this in about 5 videos, but oh well. So a lot of people want to know, how was it the day I found out I was pregnant after 11 years? So here's how it happened. So a couple days before I found out, I had been having this really bizarre cramping, like right in the bottom of my stomach, and it was unlike any cramping I've ever had. It was different than menstrual cramps. It was worse. It was awful. I knew I should be starting my period, and I was late, but it wasn't uncommon for me to have a late period, so I didn't think much of it. So the cramping was getting worse and worse, and so I called my doctor, and I really was concerned. I was like, something's wrong. Either my appendix has burst, or I have ruptured something. Either way, I'm dying. So I called my doctor, and the first thing, or my doctor's office, first thing they ask is, have you taken a pregnancy test? And my reply was, I don't get pregnant. And they were pretty insistent that I should take a pregnancy test. But for someone that's been through infertility for all these years, that's the last thing I want to do. I did not want, I gave up trying to ever get pregnant years ago. And closing that chapter in my life was very healing. And I just did not want to open that again. I did not want to go. I did not want to see one more negative pregnancy test because I was positive it would have been negative. But after some convincing and willing to just figure out what's going on, I decided, fine, I'll get a pregnancy test. But this was after I had been cramping for about 3 or 4 days, and I had been taking ibuprofen, like all this pain medicine, and it was not going away. You know, it's something that's kind of weird though. I happened to watch an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That's like one of my guilty pleasures. But when I was watching, there was an episode where Kim went to the hospital because she was having some horrible cramping. It turns out she was pregnant. And so part of my mind was like, I wonder if that's my cramping. But I never even knew that cramping, like awful, horrible cramping, was a sign of pregnancy. I just thought, okay, pregnancy, let's see, sore boobs and nausea and vomiting, but I never knew that cramping was one of the symptoms. So anyways, back to the day of taking a pregnancy test. So I was very angry at the doctor's office because I did not want to take another test. So I called my friend up and asked her if she could babysit my kids so I could go get a cheap little test, come back, say it was negative, and then go and have my spleen out or whatever was causing all this drama in my belly. So I dropped Sawyer and Jameson off. I go to get in my car, and my car got stuck in the snow. I couldn't get out of my friend's driveway. So then she comes out and she tries to help me get out of the snow. And I somehow managed to lock my keys in the car while it's running in reverse. Don't know how that happened, but my brain just wasn't there. So then, what happened next? So about an hour and a half later, my car gets out of the snow. I'm very angry at this point. I am hurting. I just want answers. I'm thinking I'm bleeding inside. I'm dying somewhere. So I go to the drugstore. I go the pregnancy test, or buy one, get one free. So I buy some pregnancy tests. I buy me some candy at the checkout. I come back to my friend's house because she lived right across the street from the hospital, so I could walk from her house and go to the ER. I come in. I don't even take my coat off. I don't even take my snowy boots off. I just go in, use the restroom. It's the middle of the day, and I've taken a million pregnancy tests. I know that you're only supposed to take them in the morning, like the first morning pee, and so I'm like, no matter what, it's going to be negative. Well, I start peeing on it. And as I'm peeing, one red line pops up. And I'm like, all right. And then a second red line comes up. And I sit there and I just stare and I'm like, there is no way. There's no way. And I just start shaking and like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I had never seen a positive pregnancy test. I didn't even know those were real. So I take another one. And the same thing. Instantly positive, like bright positive. Not just a little positive, but severely bright positive. So then I'm shaking like crazy. And I come downstairs and my friend sees me and she said I looked like I had seen a ghost. And I show her and I said, what does this mean? She's like, Candace, you're pregnant. I was like, what in the world? There's no way. So instantly I thought, okay, I might be pregnant, but obviously I'm having a miscarriage because this pain is awful. So I call the doctor's office back and I'm like, I just kind of hang my head down a little bit. And I tell them I just took some pregnancy tests and they're positive. And they're like, okay, well, good. That'll explain your cramping. And I'm like, I didn't even know cramping was a symptom of pregnancy. So after that, they set an appointment for me to come when I'm 10 weeks for that first ultrasound. And I'm just in shock. I set the appointment. I'm like, okay, that's like 5 weeks away. Because at this point, I was only about 5 weeks pregnant. So I sit there at my friend's house. Brett has about 2 hours until he gets off work. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I've waited for this day for 11 years to be able to say, honey, I'm pregnant. And I looked like a mess that day. I was not feeling well. I looked awful. I had no plan, and I was thinking, I've thought for years, okay, the day I get pregnant, I'm gonna do something so clever. I want it to be like the most epic reveal ever. And I had nothing. So my friend and I decided that we would make a little shirt with her silhouette machine that said October, and then with an arrow going down and then baby at the bottom. Because the baby would have been due in October, or will be due in October. So we made the shirt, and I'm thinking, I don't think Brett's gonna get it. I think he'll see it and be like, oh, is that a new band or whatever? But pregnancy, our brains aren't wired for that. We are wired for adoption. And so I come home, I hurry, I like put a few curls in my hair, I put a little mascara on, and I'm just waiting and shaking, and my friend comes over so she can video it, because I don't know, it was just it was so quick. It was like, I waited so long and I only have 2 hours, because I know he'd be able to see it all over my face that I was hiding something if I didn't tell him right away. So she comes over and we wait, and I see Brett pull up, and I'm like sick in my stomach. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is about to happen. I'm about to say the words to my husband that I have longed to say for so long. So he comes in, and well, I'll just have to show you the video. I'll just put the link of that video right here. So yeah, that's what happened. I was a little unsure if he would get the whole shirt thing, so I put 2 pregnancy tests in an envelope, a big Valentine envelope, and the boys handed it to him as a special Valentine. He opened it, he looked at the test a little like, huh? And then he found out. So yeah, that was the day that we found out. And another thing that's really shocking about all this is, like, we had just met with the adoption attorney just like less than a week earlier, like 4 days earlier, and we were trying to come up with a plan of how to find our next baby. We were getting ready to put ads in the paper, and we'd been praying to find our baby, to find a child to love, and sometimes the prayers are answered in the most mysterious, very unexpected, surprising ways. So yeah, so that was the day that we found out that we were pregnant.